Okay, so the first one's from Casey. Hey guys, what are your thoughts on cloaked websites or cloaked sites? Websites that publish lots of content and presents to search engines, but if a person lands on it, it redirects. Can they be long-term if they redirect to what users would expect and not random spammy crap? For example, heaps of pages about rank tracking software that redirects to a quality comparison blog article. I mean, cloaking is, from what I understand, it's against Google's terms of service, and you could potentially get de-indexed for that. But I mean, people do it all the time, right? And that's something that we've done for lead gen for a long time, right? You set up a site and rank it, and then you can end up cloaking a prospect site onto it. So essentially using like a cloaking plugin or whatever, a script. There's a number of ways to do it, but where you can overlay a prospect's website on top of your site. And then I've done that in the past many times for prospecting purposes. Like if I have a lead gen asset that I'm able to rank, that I've ranked, excuse me, and then throughout prospecting, do an overlay of a prospect's site on top of my site, so that then I can tell them in a video email, which is generally how I would do it. But sometimes on a call, I could tell them like, hey, are you in front of Google? Go to Google and search for tree service Culpeper. And you see what's number one, click on it. Tell me what you see. And then they see their website. It's not their website in the search results, but when they click on the top number one or whatever position it's in, they see their site. And that's, a great way to close local businesses if you've got lead gen assets, is to do that kind of a thing. But that was always kind of a temporary thing, or, because generally I wouldn't leave the cloak up. I know other lead gen people do that, where they'll rank their own sites and then just cloak their, overlay their lead buyer's site on top of it. But again, it can get your site de-indexed for that. It can also potentially harm the client site too, your client site. So I know that's not what you're asking specifically, Casey. I'm a local guy, so that's, I do local SEO. So that's kind of the context that I have experience in doing this kind of a thing. It's against Google's terms of service, so just be careful doing it. I don't know if it's a good long-term strategy. I don't know that I would leave them up long-term. I know a lot of lead gen guys have left them up long time. And I've heard of sometimes things being caught and de-indexed, but it's not that common. But, like I said, use it at your own risk is what I'm saying. So I don't know about a long-term strategy. It's not something I do a lot of. So I don't really have a lot of experience on that. I think it works great for the reasons that I just mentioned for local stuff as a temporary redirect. Because if somebody ends up buying or renting a site from me, then what I end up doing is just directing the leads to them. I don't rebrand it and everything else, or do an overlay and leave it up, because I've always been concerned that would end up causing not only my site to be indexed, but theirs as well. Right. And so I've always been concerned about doing that. I'm overly cautious when it comes to that, because I think I don't want to ever be the reason that somebody else's site got de-indexed, if that makes sense. So anyway, hopefully that's clear. I don't know if it's a long-term strategy. I would be wary of it for those reasons. You could set up a redirect though, instead of a cloaking, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference between a cloak and, like, for example, with a meta refresh is an acceptable way to do it. If it's a relevant page link redirecting to another relevant page, what's interesting is you can rank a site, but then if you meta or a page, and then you can meta refresh it to a different target URL. And as long as they're similar content related, then I've seen where the ranked site will, like, it'll make sense if I explain this as in an example. So many years ago, I learned that you can set a meta refresh in certain Web 2.0 properties. Weebly's one of them, Blogger, Tumblr. There's a few of them where you can inject a snippet of code into the HTML header. Any site that allows you to do that, you can inject a meta refresh code, right? And so think of, like, Blogger, just as an example. If you were to take a Blogger and rank it, so put well-tuned content on it, and then you could spam the ever living shit out of that Blogger blog, to get it to rank. I don't typically do that now, although I still occasionally will do some kind of work like that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, let's just say you rank the blogger. It doesn't have to be blogger. I'm just using that as an example. You rank the blogger, and then you go in. Once it's ranked, then you can go in and add a meta refresh code into the HTML header of that site. You got to go in and edit the HTML and put it into the header. And it's been a while since I did it for bloggers, so I'm not even sure if that's still available. I assume it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Tumblr, it should still be available. Weebly, it should still be available. The point that I'm trying to make is, once you rank that page, then you can set a meta refresh to a page that it would be similar, and it takes a little while, a couple of days or whatever, a week, whatever, however long it takes for Google to recognize it. But then all of a sudden, if that blogger was ranked, it will replace in the search results with what it's meta refreshed to. It's very interesting. Years ago, I did this with a Weebly site, and for a plumbing client that I'd got in Manassas, Virginia. I'll never forget it, because I learned about the technique on a Friday, I think it was. And Friday night, I set up a Weebly site that was optimized for, Manassas plumber, or plumber Manassas, or whatever it was. And I bought a bunch of spam backlinks from like 1hourbacklinks.com. Some of you guys that have been around for a long time probably remember that, but it was like pure kitchen sink spam. And I spent like, I don't know, like $80 or something like that to get thousands and thousands of spam links to hit this. And they were delivered within like 12 hours, right? The links were placed and delivered. So by Monday, when I got back from wherever I was for the weekend, the son of a bitch was ranked #1, I swear to God, for plumbing contractor or whatever it was, Manassas, Virginia. And it was ranked #1, this Weebly site. So, and I had just landed a new client, like a plumbing client, the previous week. So all I did was went in and inserted that meta refresh code to the plumbing client site that had just hired me a week before. And I was able to contact them like later that week. So this was on a Monday that I set up the meta refresh. And so immediately you can go in and see the redirect. So I sent the client an email and said, okay, go to Google and search, plumber Manassas or whatever the keyword was, and look in the #1 position and click on it and tell me what you see. And then I got a reply back to them. They're like, I don't know what you did, but that's amazing. And I was like, well, just give it a few days and then it'll be your website in the search results, not just something that you click on and then it shows you your website, if that makes sense. And anyway, it was really cool. And for years I did that. I know that you can still do that. I know for sure, because I actually just published a post in our mastermind earlier today about a very useful place to add a meta refresh. So I know that it's still available. Again, I'm not 100% sure if you can still do it with Blogger. I know you can with Tumblr. I'm pretty sure you can still do it with Weebly. So there are a few of them that you can do that kind of stuff with. So meta refreshes are valid. I've never caught a penalty or had anything de-indexed from a meta refresh, provided I've been, meta refreshing from from one page to another that's similar, shares the same kind of topic, etc. That makes sense.